Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Welcome back to another episode of Swim Lessons. I'm your host, Dallas Hansen. On today's episode, we have a fun one for you. It's a full inside look from the Minnesota Vikings last season from a coach's perspective, and that coach is Dalmin Gibson. Dalmin Gibson is a South Dakota native who's made his way around the coaching world, and now he coaches for the Vikings. So to get an inside look from their past season and what they're going to do in the upcoming NFL draft and how they're going to handle things, and how they did handle things like the Cousins injury, Justin Jefferson getting injured, coming back, Josh Dobbs coming in, going on that magical run, and just the kind of their season wrapped up in a nutshell with Dalmin, and it was really good. It was an insightful conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I wish nothing but the best for Coach Gibson and the Vikings as they move forward, preparing for the NFL draft and for next season. But before we get to Dalmin, we got to talk about Sports on Tap and Planet Pizza, two of my favorite places in the world. Minot's best place to have any kind of fun. They've been locally owned and operated for 30 years, the Tony Mueller family has. You can find them on Facebook at Sports on Tap or give them a call, 701-837-8220. Also, Planet Pizza is a spot that's connected, and they have the best pizza in the world. Also, like kind of a gaming area for kids that's a lot of fun for birthday parties. And then if you're a grown-up and you want to go watch March Madness or catch a football game with a friend or family, go to Sports on Tap. They've got a great environment that's kind of built towards the sports world. Keyword Sports on Tap. Next up is PSP Network. It's game day, promoting local athletes for a long time. Their website is psp.network, or find them on YouTube at PSP Network. They just wrapped up the sporting season, and Nick Holberg and everybody down there at PSP does a fantastic job. So if you're a student athlete in the state of North Dakota, go check out PSP Network. Good place to watch some game film, if you will, and really appreciate PSP Network. Next up is Neighborhood Pediatric Therapy. It's located in the central part of Minot, and they provide therapy services for individuals all the way from birth to age 21. Services range from free screenings, speech and language evaluations, and therapy for a variety of areas, including feeding, language, speech and sounds, auditory processing. They also accept a wide variety of insurances. You can look up more information about them on their website at www.neighborhoodnd.com or give them a call at 701-837-8877. Any questions you have or just to set up an appointment for your child, reach out to them at Neighborhood Pediatric Therapy. Thank you, Neighborhood Pediatric Therapy. Next up, and last but not least, Glasso Angus, a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons. Glasso Angus is your premier source for registered black Angus since 1973. Glasso Angus cattle showcase dominance, durability, and docility and are built to thrive on the northern plains. Check them out at Glasso, Glasoe, Angus.com. That's all our sponsors. Really appreciate them. Make sure you got your notifications on for Swim Lessons. Also, give us a like on YouTube, comment what you think, and follow myself, Dallas Hansen, or Swim Lessons, the podcast on Instagram. But here we go with the great and powerful NFL coach and someone I really admire, Dalmin Gibson. Okay. Ready, buddy?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Dalmin Gibson, part 2 in 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome back to Swim Lessons, buddy. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me again, buddy.
Thanks for taking some time, and I mean, excitement's brewing. You're going to be talking at the Dan Stanton Memorial Coaching Clinic, which has got to be a good feeling. Yeah,
for sure. I think it's a big honor to come back to that, just because I was coaching at Dickinson State the first year that we hosted it and put it on. So to be able to come back, 10 years later or something, and be able to speak at it now and give back is huge and exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I was just up there. There's a lot of people that me and you know, and a lot of big names. But obviously you're one of the biggest. You're here now. How was your first? Let's just start off with a bang.
Yeah.
How was your first year in the NFL?
It was great. I mean, considering, the season didn't go the way we wanted it to, finished 7-10, but I think for a rookie coach, I couldn't ask for a better experience, and just a lot of challenges, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, that type of deal. But it was from the beginning, it was awesome. I don't ever want to go back to college ever again.
Yeah. I mean, I just told this story when we were laughing about it, but whenever I'm trying to get sponsorships for the show, I always talk about like who we got coming on and who we've had. And I always talk about my trip to the Vikings training facility and how nice it is. And when you caught me in the parking lot, you're like, okay, bro, remember, this is the league. No matter who we see, don't go fanboy, just keep your cool. I'm like, yeah, I got you. We walk in the front door at the training facility. First dude we rub shoulders with is Tony Romo. And it's just like, okay, we're here.
Yeah, starstruck, right?
Starstruck
like,
a little bit.
What?
It's Tony friggin' Romo. And,
Tony Romo, man.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the season with the Vikings. Obviously, you just talked a little bit more about kind of how it ended up. But when Kirk Cousins goes down and tore his Achilles, and you know, what was the locker room like, and what was the coaching staff like when that all went down?
Well, so like you see Kirk get hurt in the game, and you know, you hear on the headset, hey, Kirk's out. They think it's a ankle or something like that. And, you know, you just got to, in sports, you just got to kind of move on. You know what I mean? And we end up winning that game, big division win for us. And we get back into the locker room and we're passing out game balls, that type of thing. And it's a very, like, everybody's excited, cheering on the people who are getting game balls, that type of deal. And then, like, it gets really somber, and Coach KO is like, hey, turn the cameras off. And right there and then announces that, you know, Kirk had torn his Achilles. And it was like, I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but like you got starting offensive linemen over there crying. And the real like image that sticks out to me when he announced that news was like looking at the owners when they got the news, because they got the news the same time we did. And they're just to see their faces, like it was devastating, to say the least, you know. And now you're looking at the whole thing, and you're thinking to yourself, like, I'll be honest, like I thought to myself, like, man, there goes our playoff checks. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, 100%.
Because like you've got to have a quarterback in this league.
Have to 100%. I couldn't, and I wanted to text you when it went down, but obviously, you know, we're good friends, but I didn't want to step out of place. But I mean, you can't, the guy, when I asked you, I'm like, who's one of the nicest guys in this building? You're like, oh, dude, Kirk Cousins. Right. Justin Jefferson's not far behind him. But like that just, it's got to be a dagger. Yeah,
for sure it was. But I think, you know, obviously this is my first and only NFL team. Like, our locker room, the culture that KO has established is just second to none, man. Yeah. Like the people in that room are awesome. So to be able to rally around each other and just like know that it's football. It's got to be next man up. You know, the thing that was kind of like weird for us at the time was our number 2 quarterback, Nick Mullins, was out. He was on IR with like stress fractures in his back. So then that's how we get into the Dobbs situation. Yeah. You know, so like Kirk is out and we're looking for a quarterback, and like personnel and coaching are very separate until really this time of year. So after Kirk got hurt, like we knew they were going to bring somebody in, but like we don't know who. Right. You know, there's all these names. Like we see the same stuff on ESPN and Twitter and NFL Network that you guys are seeing, and are like thinking of all the same names that you guys are thinking. And then like we have Dobbs signed to us, and my buddy who's
the Pastronaut.
So like my buddy who's at the Cardinals, like as soon as it happened, he texted me and he's like, Dobbs is going to win you some games and like maybe get you guys to the playoffs. I'm like, perfect. Like that's
Hold
what
on one second, Dalmin. I'm going to adjust that mic.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Is it too far?
It's just a little bit away from there.
Okay.
There, that's perfect. I don't want to feel like it's far now. There we
go. No, you're good.
There. Yeah, go on though. Dobbs comes in the building.
Yeah, Dobbs comes into the building, and that first week was we're playing Atlanta. Like nobody like really knows him. Like I barely got to meet him, type of deal. And we get to Atlanta, and Jaron, the rookie, gets hurt in the first series, and it's like, all right, who's up?
Yeah.
And everybody's just like, all right, Dobbs is in. And I know we talked a little bit the last time I was on about what it sounds like on a headset with the play call and just how stressful that can be getting that call as a quarterback. So imagine that scenario, and now you're Josh Dobbs, who's been in the building for 4 days.
Oh my!
And now you got to go out here and go play football.
Oh my! How was the headset?
It was the craziest thing
Like
I've ever.
what you can share with us. Obviously,
Yeah. So like, let's just say the play call. So just to preface this, the offensive play caller can speak to the quarterback in his headset until 15 seconds on the play clock. So like once KO knew that like Dobbs was in the game, like he just told the offensive staff like, hey guys, if you got plays that you like, get them to me early because I need as much time on this mic with Dobbs as I can get, because at 15 seconds it turns off and he can't hear him anymore. So KO would give him the call. So he'd be like, hey, 11 personnel, twins left, twisty, 364, jet Ringo, Lamar Husker, can it to 36 sponge Rita.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the play.
Mm-hmm.
And he would give him the play. Josh would tell the guys that. And KO would come back and say, all right, you got a 3-by-1 formation. You've got a slant. You've got an inside fade. You've got a basic. You've got your running back on an option route. And you got your backside receiver on a curl. And can it to outside zone to the left if we get this look.
Mm-hmm.
So like for a whole game, that's what KO was doing to Dobbs. So for him to be able to face that type of adversity and like come out and ball out and get us a W was huge.
I just got done with a podcast with Nate Zachman, and he coaches high school. And I couldn't even imagine him doing that as a high school coach to a high school quarterback. But yet here we are on the biggest stage in the world, NFL.
And that's
And
still happening.
Dobson's-
Yeah. Dobbs out there having that happen to
Dobbs,
him, right?
excuse me. Yeah, and like how good of a coach is KO to
Yeah.
do that?
No doubt.
I mean,
and really just to be able to not only KO, but the whole offensive staff to be able to,
right.
Boil down what was actually going to be in the game plan now, you know what I mean, at that point in time, because the call sheet has 300 plays.
Right.
And now it's like, we got to look at this call sheet and figure out what 80 plays we can run. That
And
type of deal.
Yeah, that's got to be a little difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk a little bit more about Dobbs has this magical run. Obviously, It came to an end. You guys did, like the game you just got done talking about, he was phenomenal, and then he kind of struggled a little bit. Justin Jefferson comes back from injury. How monumental was that for the Vikings organization when JJ comes back?
Yeah, I think, how did it all work out? I can't remember. So we go Thanksgiving. We lose a tough one Monday night to the Bears, go on a bye week, and I think we come back off the bye week and play at Vegas, and JJ gets back.
Ooh.
So we're thinking to ourselves, like, we're playing good enough ball on defense. We got to get it going again on offense. We get JJ back, and now we have Dobbs who can extend some plays, get some things rolling. Like, we're back, baby.
Yeah,
like,
let's go time.
We're making a run. Like, we can go ahead and set ourselves up and make a playoff run, do that type of thing. Well, we're in Vegas, and that's the infamous 3-0 game that we win. They don't score. We kick a field goal. Game's over, right?
Yep.
Well, that game, JJ was out for 7 weeks with a hamstring, and then he goes up for a ball over the middle and gets drilled and comes off the field and is spitting blood and like bruised his kidney or something like that. I'm like saying bruised kidney like it's something easy,
right.
but I mean it's
tough.
it's a tough deal, bad deal. He's out of the game. They won't let him come back, even though he's trying to come back. And I mean,
he's trying to come back.
Oh yeah,
in the
he's
game.
trying to get back out there.
What does that say about
JJ? Driven. Like he's got a goal and a plan in mind, and that's all. Like Keenan McCardell was saying, when it came to JJ returning, like, hey, he's got a goal that he's trying to get this season. He's trying to get 1,000 yards. Like he wants to be 1,000-yard guy every single year of his career. So he's working towards something type of deal, So he's really chomping at the bit to come back. And in that game, unfortunately, Dobbs gets pulled, and we put Nick Mullins in, and he leads us down to a drive, and we end up kicking a field goal. And in the last couple minutes of the game, and we end up winning. So
What was the Raiders stadium like?
it was cool, man. It was obviously a pretty new one. They had the Super Bowl there this year, and I know all the talk was about the field.
Yeah.
And the field was trash when we were there.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it because they paint it.
Right.
So it's truly like dirt.
Oh,
And they paint it green so it looks like grass.
yeah.
And they painted the end zones like black so it doesn't look like complete dirt. But I mean, it's straight up dirt.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a beautiful facility, second to US Bank in my opinion.
What's the coaching rule with the players when you play a game in Las Vegas?
Okay, yeah.
So for players.
Yeah, for players. So because it's a work trip, like we can't gamble, you can't step inside a sports book, anything like that. So we stayed like 45 minutes outside of Vegas
Just to get away.
Just to get away from all that.
Yeah. I mean, Vegas, like I stayed at Red Rocks, which is a ways away.
Mhm.
And they still got great hotels.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
off the strip.
Yeah, just a little less distraction, that type of deal. So
So your first year went good though.
First year was great. I think you really got to learn a lot, and I had to learn a lot as a rookie coach because in my room, from the special teams room, like the outside pieces, the gunners and the jammers on punt and pressure return, punt return, whatever you call it, everybody was a rookie. I had a young group out there, and so here's a group of rookies, and then they've got a rookie coach, and I had my end of the season meeting with KO, and he's like, the guys had a lot of great things to say about you. How did you think it go? How did you think it went? And I was like, I felt like because I was in the NFL and these guys were grown men, that like the stuff that I was teaching them, they were going to be able to pick up and just be able to execute it at the highest level because they're professionals, right? But what I really found was there was just some certain things that I needed to get better at in how I was teaching it to them, just in terms of, hey, what we're asking for, looking for, and just making sure that I was detailed enough to make sure that we were getting the results that we saw. And we eventually ended up seeing that out of our, star gunner, Najee Thompson, who really kind of went viral for his gunner play late in the season, like the Packers and, late in the year, just making some crazy plays in the biggest stages.
During our last podcast, you were going to face the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you this story because it was like one of those cool moments in my life. But I show up to the stadium, me and my girlfriend go there. We had good seats right behind the Chiefs bench. And I'm watching Mahomes and Travis and all those guys warm up, and it was cool. And then I look over at midfield, and there's my longtime good friend, Dalmin Gibson. And I looked at Kristen and I said, do you know how cool it is to have a friend that's warming up right now with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce? I'm obviously a diehard Chiefs fan. I'm like, do you know how cool that is? And she's like, no, I don't actually. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So like, dude, what did you ever have like a come to moment where you're like, dude, what's going on?
Yeah, I think that moment was every game day for me, just because like I don't really take this opportunity lightly.
Yeah.
I'm just like super grateful and blessed to have this opportunity. So like any single time like I can be out on that field pregame is just like the best thing ever. But at the same time too, there was like you could turn that up a notch for those like primetime games, your Sunday night games, your Monday night games, like you could just feel it in the atmosphere that it was just starting to just like build that momentum, and it was about to be like crazy.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm sure. What was Lambeau Field like?
Lambeau, it felt a lot like a college.
Yeah.
Like you roll into town and it's really not a town type of deal. It's a small place, and then you just see this big ass stadium just pop up out of nowhere. And then even the stands, you know what I mean? It's like concrete bleachers, like there's no seat backs, everybody's standing the whole game. So it had a very like college atmosphere to it, vibe. But the one thing that I was surprised the most about was like the field. Like they cover the field, and we played them Halloween weekend out there, and it was a chilly, brisk like fall day, and they covered the field with a tarp. But like I couldn't believe like how slick the field was, even for it being in like pristine, like green, like it was in a green vegetative state. You know what I mean? I still thought it was like super slick. I was like, dang man, like they weren't lying, because all week they talked about like, hey, players, like
Cleat size.
cleats, all that. Make sure you take 3 or 4 different pairs up there to make sure you figure out what you want to rock, type of deal. But it was a cool experience. The rivalry it's fun. That border battle up there, it's great to be a part of, and always great to be on the winning side of that as well.
Well, the rivalry plot just thickened. Aaron Jones signed with you guys, former longtime Packer running back, great player.
Yeah, I met him yesterday.
How were the first few days with Aaron Jones?
Yeah, they were great. I got to meet him downstairs when he was in the locker room briefly for like 5-10 minutes. Like, again, that's the thing. Like, all these guys in the NFL, they're great people. So like being able to chop it up with him for a little bit and just feel his excitement for wanting to be a part of what we have going out there was fun.
And it always comes down to that Vikings and Packers trading players.
It does, man.
It's
like back and forth. Like, it seems like every year there's 1 or 2 that is, or even coaches, you know what I mean? Like our assistant head coach and outside linebackers coach, Mike Pettin, he was the D coordinator at Green Bay, 3 or 4 years ago too. So people just love that division, I guess.
It's all time NFC North. Talking about the NFC North and talking about a place you just came from. You just flew back a couple weeks ago from the draft combine. Vikings are in this interesting situation where they kind of trying to find out quarterback wise with Kirk going to Atlanta. Do you go into the draft? Obviously, you're a special teams guy, but were they talking about like, hey, we got to look at quarterbacks extra? What was the mindset the Vikings went into the draft?
I think the one thing about the draft and the combine, this whole process is like, hey, we're going here to Indy. Let's just do our homework. Like at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out if guys love football, if they're tough, and how smart they are. Those are like really the 3 things that we're looking for when we go there and have informal interviews with them, formal interviews with them, those types of things. And then, I mean, really the workouts don't really carry a lot of weight, in my opinion. It's nice to see what a guy truly runs, but for the most part, the coaches aren't like glued to the workout, watching it or watching the TV like how I was as a fan in college when like the combine week came, type of deal. So
how was the combine?
It's fun, man.
Yeah.
It's unreal. Like you work all day, whatever it is, and then like it's a straight party at night.
Yeah.
There was nights where you're not getting home till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, just out with coaches networking, and it's a cool NFL fraternity just because like I'm a special teams coach, so every year at the at the combine, the special teams coaches have a dinner together at Buca di Beppo.
Oh, nice.
The
great Italian spot.
Yeah, Italian spot in Indy, and whoever wins the Super Bowl has to pay for the meal. So Dave Tobe paid for it. So
great Kansas City Chiefs coach.
Yeah. So I had dinner on Coach Tobe that night, sat next to him for a while.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What was he like?
He's awesome. We were just talking about, kind of off season where everybody goes, that type of deal. He was telling me about some deer he shot with his crossbow.
Ooh.
During their bye week, type of deal. So he was pretty fired up about that.
Well, I know where there's a lot of deer. I might have to get him up to Crosby.
Yeah, you might have to, man.
The interesting point though, Dalmin, is we talked about this the first time we met, but family and your wife, and you've got beautiful kids and your parents. Did you ever have a moment with them when they came to like an away game or a home game where they're just like, we're really proud of you, like, and you're like, hey, I wouldn't be here without you?
Yeah, for sure. I think I was blessed and fortunate for my family, my in-laws, my like really close kind of immediate family to be able to travel and go to a couple of different games as well. So like, yeah, just for them to be able to experience that one game specifically that really kind of I think back on that I'll probably never forget about is the Monday night game against the 49ers at USA Bank. My whole family got to come out. My mom, my dad, my sister, my newborn niece was there, and then obviously my kids and my wife. So to be able to share that moment with them on Monday Night Football, and then obviously get a huge win that night against the Niners
that was a big win.
Yeah, it was legit.
It
was legit. You know what I mean? And it's nice too because like on those night games, I get to spend a little bit more time with the family during the day. So just being able to be at the house and just chilling with those guys, and
It's got to be an incredible feeling,
yeah,
dude.
Unreal.
Like you're in the league, man.
Yeah, and that game was pretty cool for me too, because that was like the NFL Heritage Month. So they were doing like a cool deal where like if you were like a born or a first generation like descendant of a different country, you got to represent that country's like flag on your like helmet or like coaching shirt that night.
Really?
So like my dad is from Belize, born in Belize.
Yeah.
So like I got to like wear a Belize flag on my shirt for that game. So like I gave my dad that shirt that night and everything. So
That's
that
awesome.
was a pretty special moment.
Yeah.
You know.
I got to talk to about my guy Paul Allen, PA.
Yep.
What's it like? Does he come to a lot of practices, or what's he? Do you have a relationship with PA, or how is it?
I have a great relationship with PA, obviously, because we have a mutual friend in Dallas. Hansen.
Dude.
The funny thing about PA was like, he's like, yeah, I met your buddy Dallas. He's like, who the hell spells Dallas with a Y? I was like, this guy.
This guy. Yeah, dare to be different.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, PA and I have a great relationship. I get to the game pretty early, like we talked about in the last podcast, and walk around the field, but PA's usually there kind of doing his pregame show, I believe. And he'll always come up to me and say like, hey man, you're doing a hell of a job with Najee Thompson. Like he's playing out of his mind, or like, he's like, hey, BP, Brandon Powell. He's like, you guys are this close on all these punt returns. Like you're going to get one. Cause like our big theme, like we call it change the date. So we want to change the date when we can block a punt and take a punt to a punt return for a touchdown. So the last time the Vikings ever took a punt return for a touchdown was October 9th, 2016. So like that date is like etched in our special teams players' mind because we're trying to change that date. So like Paul will come up to me and be like, hey man, we're going to change the date this week. We're going to change the date this week. So there's buy-in with him as well. But you know, he comes, I think 2 practices a week are open to the media. So he's always at those. So I'll see him there and he'll dap me up. But I mean, every pregame, he's right there, gives me a big hug and just right there, just encouraging and just speaking life into people. You know what I mean? Because he's an infectious, contagious energy about him. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you can tell through his broadcast too.
Yeah,
He's just
for
the man.
sure. Yeah.
Talking, I really wanted to, you touched on it a little bit, but exit meetings in the NFL. Do you meet one-on-one with KO, or how does that?
Yep. I had an exit meeting with KO. You know, he gave feedback to me. He asked for feedback for him and what I felt like we could do better, those types of things. But I mean, really, you know, that's a part in my coaching career that I really look forward to. Not because like I don't ever want the season to be over, but I look forward to having like those real raw conversations with like zero gray area involved and like taking criticism, because like I'm obsessed with coaching and I'm obsessed with getting better at my craft. So like the only way for me to get better is for like my superior to like straight up tell me like, hey, this is what I think you need to get better at. Those types of things. You know what I mean?
Did he say that stuff to you?
Yeah, like really, excuse me. The cool thing about it was like him like sitting down with me and like creating a plan on how to get me a special teams coordinator job in the NFL.
No shit.
He's like, after this season, like you need to have 3 or 4 special teams interviews set up. Like that's
really?
what he's like, we're going to do whatever we need to do to make sure that you can have those opportunities after the season.
Wow.
So whether or not they block me or not, we'll see. But
dude, that's amazing. That's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, for sure. And then even the same thing with my special teams coordinator, my boss, Matt Daniels, to be able to have that, you know, like we did the same thing. You know, he's like sat down like, hey, like you need to be a coordinator next year. I'd love to have you. You're a great coach, but like you need to go off and do your own thing because you're ready for that, those types of things. He's like, but you know, like you need to, he's like, I'm not running any more like meetings. Like at the end of the week, any of that stuff. He's like, you've got to take all that stuff over so you can, because really like the players are the people that get you the jobs in the NFL. So he's like, I know the players are confident in you. He's like, but you just need to we just got to put you in front of them more so they can just like stand on the table and be like, yeah, DG's ready to go be a coordinator.
Dude.
Which I think, I mean,
I
think they're probably there already, but it's just like, taking it up another notch.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing for the draft? Are you doing it from the Vikings headquarters? Or are you going?
Yeah, we'll be in the Vikings headquarters. I will not be in the draft room.
Okay.
Too stuffy in there for me.
Right.
I mean, you got the brass of the organization, the head coach, the GM, assistant GM, the owners. So I will be in the staff room next door.
The draft this year is really interesting because the Bears got the 1 and the 8, and Marvin Harrison Jr., fantastic player, and then you got Fields, who's the starting quarterback for the Bears.
Right.
Are they going to take Caleb Williams? There's just so many moving pieces.
Yep.
Is that something that like you mentioned earlier, you talk about a little bit, but do you ever talk to anybody about that kind of stuff? Not too much, obviously, coaching special teams, but
yeah, we have big draft meetings with everybody, and because I coach special teams, I evaluate every single position.
Yeah.
On every single position out there. So all the offensive positions, all the defensive positions, get those guys evaluated, and then I sit in on all the draft meetings for those respective positions. So I know who all these players are. I know what their skill sets are. I've graded them. I've ranked them. I've evaluated them. But when it comes to those true conversations about what direction we're going to go and who we're going to pick, there's really 3, 4, 5, 6 people that truly know those. Now we have big draft simulation meetings where we we have people in software departments that write code and create software for us where they create mock drafts for us.
Really?
And we vote on who we should pick. They give us a different scenario.
What? That's awesome.
It's really fun. But the one thing that I've learned about the draft is as a fan, I always thought it was okay, my team needs a tight end, a D end, a linebacker, in that order. Well, when it comes to the first round, none of that matters. The only thing that matters in the first round is best available.
Talent, yeah.
Correct. And the only way that you get better in the NFL is through the draft. People think it's through free agency, but it's really through developing talent through the draft. So you have this big board, and however your players are ranked, that's how you're essentially going to make your first draft pick. So as those guys go off the board and new players fly up that board, once it comes time to you look at that player and it's will he change this organization or not? Yes, we'll take him. No, we'll just hang on to this for a little bit and see if somebody wants to call us and try to trade up or swap picks, because at every single pick, somebody's calling somebody each and every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time, no fail, and multiple teams each and every single time.
It's like a movie in there.
Yeah, 100%.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's pretty
Thanks for the
cool.
insight, buddy.
Yeah, it's a stressful deal, but it's a fun deal at the same time.
Save my toughest question for last. Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta just happened. Initial thoughts when right away. Do you get a group chat from the coaches, or kind of see it coming, or?
Man, I got 2 answers for you.
Okay.
On the air and off the air.
Okay. Perfect. Well, you can tell the one on and then tell the one off. We're not doing it.
Yeah, I think once free agency, and this is probably my off the air answer too, once Monday hit and we hadn't got anything done on Monday, I knew.
Yeah.
Because he played for us, we had the opportunity to extend him. But at the same time, are you bummed? Yeah, but I mean, that's this business, man. If you look at it, he wanted a lot of money guaranteed, and we didn't have that much cap space. And then we got JJ about to get a big contract coming on the books next year. It's just how do you can't have 2 $40 million players on your books,
right?
Type of deal. Something had to give.
Something's got to give.
Yeah, that type of deal.
After our last interview, the number one question I got asked was why don't you ask more Justin Jefferson questions?
Okay.
There's a lot of Vikings fans here in North Dakota, and that's from my audiences.
Yeah.
Tell us give us some insight to what JJ's like when he's off the Vikings, not wearing a jersey on Sunday.
JJ, yeah, he's an interesting character, man. He's got a lot of charisma and a great smile about him. At the end of the day, he's it's funny because people think that, and especially if you played college sports, you think that when you come to the facility, it's kind of hee hee ha ha, like joking around, like going to see my boys, that type of deal.
Yeah.
And it's not that at all in the NFL. It's like truly clocking in and clocking out. Like you're going there for a 9 to 5. The players are there every day from 7:30 in the morning till 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, each and every single day. So they're driven, they're determined, they're going bouncing around from meetings to meetings, workouts, lifts, rehab, therapy, all of these things. So JJ is going to be, he's not going to be a super vocal leader, but he's more of a lead by example type of deal. But at the same time, like he has that swag and that charisma about him that like people just like feel off of you, you know what I mean? But then like the thing that I love about like JJ is, and you see it all the time in those Tom Brady, in those Kobe interviews, and they talk about when you flip that switch.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting chills right now because the dude that I dap up in the building is different than the one that I dap up on the 30-yard line at US Bank in the pregame warmups. Like there's just such an energy and I am going to go out here and catch 15 balls for 250 and just go stupid. You know what I mean? Like you can feel that out of him. And there's nobody that wants it and wants to compete more than him type of deal, and he knows that he's going to get every single variation of double, whether it's, single high or two high double teams, like he's going to get them. And the best part about it is like, he knows and everybody else knows that like he's going to get the ball and he's still going to get the ball throughout those double teams. You know what I mean? So, I can't say enough great things about him. He's a great dude. I mean, I'm witnessing history. Yeah. And like I got friends all over the league and around college football that text me that like watch our offense during the season and out of season. And they're like, bro, he's the best in the league. Like no hands competition, down. Hands down.
Yeah. He's a special player. Thanks for sharing that. I know you got some time crunch here, so I won't hold you up too long, but how does it feel to come back to Dickinson State University where your coaching started, and you get to be the keynote speaker at the Dan Stanton Coaching Clinic here at Dickinson State? I mean, that's phenomenal, bro.
Yeah. A lot of hard work, you know what I mean, has gone into it. Just like a lot of goals and things that I've sacrificed, my family, the things that they've sacrificed. Because I think the thing that people probably don't really understand about the kind of the life that I live and kind of the path that I've chosen is like my circle has had to become really, really small because of how obsessive and how driven and just like one track minded like I had to be to get here type of deal. And that sucks. And I'm saying sorry to friends that I've had to maybe not respond to as promptly as I needed to type of deal. But it was, it's just a great honor, truthfully, at the end of the day. And to just be here in this locker room, excuse me, and see where my old lockers were and just like think about just, Dallas Hansen running around this locker room, like laughing, Alan Jackson, correct. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just like all those fun moments. It just to be able to come back here, like it just makes it all just that much more worth it to be able to go upstairs and see the renovations of the lobby and the BAC and, down here in the locker room and just to be able to see the people. But then most importantly, to like, when it comes to speaking at this clinic, to know, why this clinic is going on. Like I remember the fall when Coach Stanton's brother passed away. It was after the presentation game, I think. Yep. And then, that was a tough week, obviously, for, this whole area and Blue Hawk football and Coach Stanton, to be able to rally around him, but then be able to just celebrate his life annually with something like this is super important. But at the same time, too, like, I'm grateful to come back here and be this speaker because, like, I remember being a young coach and wanting to go to clinics and wanting to hear from people and just being glued and taking every single note. You know what I mean? So now, like, that I'm coming back to speak, like, I'm trying to be the person that I needed when I was younger. And, to see like Hayden Gibson and Tobin O'Brien, guys that,
studs.
Yeah, like I coached early in their young, freshman careers here at Dickinson. Now to see them be in a role where like I was in that role here at Dickinson State, and they were the guys really, putting a lot of grunt labor into helping putting this thing on with the rest of the coaching staff is fun to see, because I know like they're excited for all these guys to come speak, just like I was excited for when all those guys come to speak, you know, that type of deal. Like I think in one of the first ones we ever had here for the Dan Stanton Memorial Clinic, I think we had Scott Fuchs as the keynote speaker, and he was the O-line coach at North Dakota State at the time. And since then, like he's gone on to big time programs in the Big 12, elsewhere, and he just got an NFL job too. You know what I mean? So there was an NFL coach at the Dan Stanton before me.
Yeah, and it's awesome. Well, we're not going to do 10 for 10 since you already been on here and you know how that goes. But Swim Lessons, Dalmin, is a podcast about overcoming tough times. We just talked about your career now in the NFL. Leave us with something. Leave us with a quote maybe that you heard a player or somebody great say to you that helps you out when the chips don't fall as they may, and you've got to kind of dig deep.
Man, put me on the spot. I think for me, it's really kind of, I think a lot about kind of the culture that we've built on our special teams unit. And one thing that we talk a lot about as coaches is you're always going to get a consistent and a confident special teams coaching staff. So with that being said, like there's a lot of days when, I got home at 1:45 in the morning. I got to be back at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and I don't feel like waking up. But like the first thing that like I think of when my feet hit the ground is like I told my players, I told my family, most importantly, that I'm going to be consistent and I'm going to be confident in everything that I'm going to be doing today. You know what I mean? And just making sure that I'm meeting my standard that I set for myself as a husband, a father, and then finally as a coach, So really those are the things that I think about. And then I think people really got to like dive deep into like what their why truly is, because a coach of mine always used to say, like, once you find your why, it reminds you why. So for me, it's definitely my family and the people that are looking up to me that I've got to go provide for, that type of thing. So those are really the two couple things that resonate with me when I need something, when I'm down in a tough time.
I love it, buddy. That's a good one to end it on.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I appreciate you as always. Good luck in the summer and now in the fall camp. It'll be here before we know it, but really appreciate taking some time. I know you're busy, but best of luck to you and the Vikings.
Thanks, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too.
Take care of yourself, and that's a wrap. Dalmin Gibson.